This is Larry Steinhaus, and you have probably heard my radio shows and listened to my great advice on how you can make more money and pay less taxes. Well, I just finished writing a...
Hey, Larry.
Yo.
I've got some other guy who's calling. He's like freaking out that he didn't get his free book yet. He's getting real ornery.
All right, well, keep him on the line.
Oh, no. He's gone. He called at the top of the show.
Oh.
Yeah, he's like losing his mind. He calls up. The first thing he says to me, when am I getting my free book?
Oh, you should have put him on the line. That would have been fun.
Yeah, I sent all the... Anytime you put it up there, I usually send it out within a couple days.
You want to learn how to do it.
I don't... Well, this guy, when he called... I went back and I looked through my notes. He was really confused when he first called. He's the guy... Here we go.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Investor Schooling Live. Okay, that was kind of fun. We had a little bit of fun with Chris there. And by the way, if you guys are watching online, I accidentally stopped the stream, so there's a second stream if you want to watch it for the second half of the show. And by the way, like I said before, if you're watching online, please text us, let us know, send us a text message or a DM or whatever it is, a comment, I guess it is, and we'll be able to know you're on the show. We're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're everywhere because we are that important. We don't have the audience you have, Chris, but we're that important.
So I do want to say two things actually. So one there are two things. So one is that when people become students here, they always say, because we throw a lot at them in terms of you could do real estate, and there's this many types of real estate, and then if you want, you can do stock options, there's this, then there's trust, if you want to do this, if you want to save, like there's lots of little different areas, and we always talk about, hey, you could do this, you could do that, you could do that, and lots of times they're always like, well, where do I start? And every single time I say start with an IBC policy, I said that's where you want to get started because it builds over time. So do you want to talk a little bit about how it builds over time?
Yeah, I love that you do that because it is the foundation. I mean, if you think of where money's going to start, there's always got to be a source for where your money goes first. And most people put their money in the bank.
Right.
But the bank's the one winning there. We know that. Banks make 400 to 1,300% more than we do. So by starting with this, you're building a foundation that's going to give you a much better interest rate than any bank is, plus the dividends, and gives you the access immediately. And that's the problem. I think a lot of people with whole life, they think, oh, I put money in a whole life and I don't have any of it. That's a regular whole life. Yes, that's true. But if you design it, if somebody like Larry was mentioning, there's probably only 1 to 2% of the agents out there that know how to do what we do. If you design it properly, they're going to have access to anywhere between 60 to 90% of their money. And they can put it in, and then we just got to figure out where it goes. Now, you don't use this for paying your mortgage or your utilities or buying groceries. You use this for investing or paying off debt or buying cars, big purchases. That's where it's better suited. But I just think that's the proper way to do it is let's build the foundation, just like any building. If you're going to put a building in, if the foundation's not strong, your building's going to crumble. This is one of the strongest foundations you can put under your money.
So one thing that I learned and I was a little frustrated about, and that was actually the other thing that I wanted to mention is that, I came as, I was a student here at the school also, but I came to school, I came to a class, I wasn't, it was on a stock class and I wasn't interested in stocks at the time. And I remember coming to a money multiplier, and I remember, because I live around the corner from here, and I remember saying to my husband, I'll be home by noon. I'm not staying all day. This is not going to happen.
She didn't like me then.
I still don't like you. What are you talking about?
Well said.
So Brent goes on, because Brent is first, right? So we do the whole, hey, whatever. And Brent goes on, and he does his presentation, and I'm floored. I'm absolutely floored. I never heard of this before. Didn't know anything about it.
I invented it.
Yeah, there we go. And I was absolutely floored. So I think it was, we had our break right afterwards, and I remember calling home and I'm saying, I think I'm going to stay for the rest of the day. And my husband's like, you sure? And I'm like, if I don't know about this, what else don't I know about? And and within within a couple months, I had a couple policies started, so it was great. But one thing that I was a little frustrated about, and it wasn't because of this, but I had a regular life insurance policy, so I didn't know whether or not to cancel that, to keep that, and we always talk about not canceling that. But I remember looking at it, and I'm like, how have I been paying into this for the last 7 years, and I have $1,000 available for money? It was just very frustrating to me. And when I called up my life insurance guy, he's just like, oh, well, this and that. And then I started looking at all the paperwork. I'm like, why am I getting charged fees every single month? And so I think that's after I saw Brent talk, I didn't realize that there were different types of policies. And I thought they were all the same thing. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and I think that's a big misconception. I mean, we are clearly here, just to reiterate what Larry said, we're talking about whole life insurance, and actually specially designed whole life that we designed for this. And a lot of people, when they hear that, they hear life insurance, so then they'll go out and they'll talk to an agent and an advisor, and a lot of them right now, agents and advisors, are pushing products like IULs, Index Universal Life, or other types of universal life. Because, and I'll be perfectly clear, the reason you don't hear about what we do more is it requires us to take a 60 to 90% cut. I mean, there's a reason you have access to 60 to 90% of your money immediately. It's because we take a cut in our commission of 60 to 90%. Now, no brokerages out there want that. No agents want to take a 60 to 90% cut in their pay. I mean, it's just hard to even live on that. But that's what's required. Somebody's got to give for somebody to get. And I know a lot of people get into policies like you had where they thought it was going to be one thing, and then all of a sudden, a year later, 2 years, it's usually too late by that point, like we were talking.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
They have this thing, and it's not going to do anything for them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you were sold, I don't want to say a bag of lies, but a bag of lies. You were sold a false promise. And the one person that got paid on that policy and all these ones that I'm talking about, that are sold out there, is the agent and the brokerage that sold it. Because IULs are one of the highest commissions out there. Plain and simple. I mean, why is it the number one thing that your advisor wants to talk about? Because they get paid the most. I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but that's what the truth is.
Yeah.
You mean financial advisors only have their best interests in mind, not yours?
Look, I was one for 16 years at a high level, and I can tell you that what we were taught was, yes, sell the product. Holy cow, not even taught to sell the product with the higher commission, but we were literally kind of steered that, like, we had to. Like, hey, here's the
by law.
Here's the monthly goals.
By
like
law.
These, yeah, we need you selling more of this.
Insane.
And today, like I always tell people, I said, I'm trying not to sell anything. I'm trying to solve people's problems, because then they buy, and that's the kind of client I want.
You ready? You ready for me to piss off half the listeners?
Oh boy.
I deal with this every
Let me
week.
tell you
What are
something.
talking about?
If you go to a financial advisor and he even says the word annuity, just slap him in the face and run out the door.
Yeah.
The absolute worst product in the entire planet for anyone to buy in almost every case, because there are certain reasons to buy annuities, and it's not the ones that your financial advisor is selling you on. The reasons to buy it have nothing to do with what they're selling you on it. But if he says the word and there's not one of these reasons, you slap him in the face and tell him and kick him out. Because it's basically like this. Hey, give me your money. You can't have it back.
Absolutely can't have it back.
You don't make interest on the entire amount the day you get it. So if you give me $100,000, you're only going to get paid interest on $92,000. And if you absolutely beg us for the money back, we're gonna charge you all kinds of fees to get your money back, and we're not even going to give you that great of a rate anyway.
Well, that's just like IULs. They're called surrender charges. Like,
surrender
you put
charge.
money in an annuity, a variable annuity, or any type of an annuity. There's going to be a surrender period, which means you put the money in, you can't get it all back out during that period. Do you ever wonder why? Number one, the insurance company doesn't want to lose control of the money because they're making a spread on it. But also, they paid a big commission to the agent
That's
or
exactly
advisor.
right.
They got to get that commission
That's
back.
right.
So that's all this is. Like, IULs, the surrender period, is basically just a recapture period. That's what they should call it. This is where we're going to recapture that big commission we just paid that agent. In IULs, I think the sin behind IULs is every person selling them are always talking about the investments, right? The indexing. These are most of them, not all, but most of them are not even licensed to sell securities. They don't have their Series 7. Most don't even have their Series 6 and 63.
Right.
But they're allowed, it's almost dangerous. They're allowed to go out there and act like a financial advisor, talk about securities. Now, I know that's a participation in an index, but literally, like, does the client really know the difference? I think that's what the question needs to be is.
Yeah, you just went over the head of every listener, but that's okay.
That's okay,
I
but
get you.
it's just a
but
problem.
Here's the thing, here's the problem, right? So if you have a high commission product, stay away from it. Now, what Chris
Bingo.
is doing, and I'm telling you the truth, I know how it works.
How would they know that it's a high commission? Like,
No,
how
they
would
won't.
they know?
They don't. They
They
probably
won't.
don't. Yeah.
They
So,
won't.
so I'm going to tell you. I'm going to reveal something in the industry that most people don't know. So commissions on whole life insurance, normal whole life insurance policy. If you're paying, for example, I don't know, let's say you're paying $1,000 a month, the first year, that's $12,000 for the year, right?
Yeah.
The commission on that is anywhere from 100% to 125%
Wow.
to the agent.
To the no, if you
To the
go
broker, right,
to
to
the
the broker, right,
to the
right.
general agency, because
right.
now
And
you're in
and
GA
the
land.
The agent probably gets 70 or 80% of that.
Yeah, 55 to 70% is pretty
Yeah.
common for the
but,
agent.
But just so you know, the reason I bring that up is just understand that money's all gone. It's all been wasted. So now when Chris comes in and he does it, he designs the policy so that a big portion of that money he gets very little commission on. I know you get a tiny
What,
bit
60 to 90% less than
Right,
what you just
right,
said.
exactly, right.
So just do the math.
And you know what? And it's funny because you've got. I've seen you, and I know the kind of house you live in, and I know the cars you drive, and I know your partner has 3 planes. And the
Is it
reason
3 now?
is it 3 or 2?
2.
Oh, 2. Okay, I think we find another one. Anyway,
Maybe
it doesn't
he
matter.
is.
But the point is, these guys make so much money doing this because they treat the customer right. So for every insurance policy that the rip-off agent sells, these guys probably sell 10 and make a lower commission. Now, I'm not saying these guys are greedy. They're not. They're actually just the opposite. They're out there to help people, and that's why they make more money. That's why same thing with us. When we teach you how to invest in real estate, how to invest in the stock market, how to do these kind of things that no people even understands, how to save money in taxes, we're doing it out of our heart, and eventually we're going to make money at it. And the same thing with these guys. It's amazing how it actually pisses me off that some of these people will steal your money with the under the impression that, oh, I'm trying to help you.
Here's an interesting thing. I mean, when I first started doing what I do now, I was an advisor 16 years, so I did everything we're talking about with the registered reps, and I was an
You were
an
a bad
RIA.
boy.
I was what I was supposed to be
Yeah, exactly.
in the capacity
I get
of
it.
what I was doing. But when I started doing this, I remember when I made the switch, my income dropped significantly. Like
sure.
I don't say this often, but why not here? Brent, who I came in under his GA,
Yeah.
had to literally support me and my family for probably the better part of 6 months.
Wow.
That's how hard it was because our commissions were so low. So it really was a difficult thing. And I understand and I agree. Most agents can't do this kind of a transition. But like you had mentioned, now you know the house I live in and the cars I drive and the lifestyle we have.
Sure.
That's not because we get paid a lot. That's because we serve a lot of people.
That's right.
It's a pure volume thing. I tell people, they say, well, how do you make money? I am a professional nickel and penny picker-upper. I solve problems for thousands of people, not hundreds, not a few. I don't go after a couple or 100. I solve problems for thousands of people, which means even though you make less, you make more because you're solving more problems.
These are the people I hang out with. These are the people Dr. Debs hangs out with. These are the people who understand money and understand how to help people before they get paid. Now, I mean, you get paid to help people, but what comes first is helping people, and we happen to get paid for helping people. That's what investor schooling is all about. That's what we started. We started out, hey, look, all these people out there know nothing about real estate. They know nothing about stock market. They know nothing about stock options. Most people say the stock market is rigged. Right? They say it's rigged. It's not rigged. You just need, and even if it is, it's still as predictable as it was. Whether it's rigged or not rigged, it's still predictable, and we teach you how to predict it. I mean, it's kind of an amazing transformation when you start coming to places like investor schooling and start learning things. We always tell people that you come to investor schooling, you learn real estate investing and stock options trading. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
But for me to sit here and go, we're going to teach you real estate investing and life insurance and stock options trading and health savings accounts and IRAs and stuff. All you can do is go, blah, blah, blah. What does that mean? I don't understand. You're going to run like crazy. But if I tell you I'm going to teach you real estate investing and I'm going to teach you stock option trading, and while you're here, you happen to pick up this and happen to pick up that and happen to pick up that, you're going to go, wow, I never expected to learn so much in such a short time. It's funny how within 2 or 3 months, the people in investor schooling, they start to learn and they start to say, hey, I didn't even know this. I didn't even know this existed. It's like my book. The book is a 50-foot overview of everything we teach. And by the way, Steve, if you want to, if you did win the book, we lost you. If you want to call back, you can get your copy of the book. But anyone else, go to Amazon, go to Barnes & Noble. For $20, you could buy the book. I make $4 if you buy the book. Do you think I need your $4? I don't need your $4. And by the way, if you come to Investor Schooling on Thursday night, we'll even give you a copy. So go to investorschooling.com. We'll give you a free copy. All right, I got to go over to Dr. Deb because we've been following up on one of her properties for like months now. And you might even have some insight in this because for you guys who don't even know who I have in this room, not only is he this, like he became one of the greatest whole life insurance advocates and advocates for this product, but he actually had a TV show that talked about flipping properties. Like you actually flip properties on his TV show, right? It was called
Risky Builders on
Yeah.
HGTV. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the kind of person we have. So let's go over to Deb for a second, because maybe even Chris can give you some advice. So we've been talking about your property up in Monroe, and it's the 4-family house with the 4-family house in the back and the 2-family house in the front.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been
been a while.
Been a nightmare for you,
it's been
but it
quite a
hasn't been. So when I say a nightmare, it's been a different kind of nightmare because she bought this property for $35,000.
Not even.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. It was like $25,000. That's
like
right.
25 grand.
And it was a shell. And she renovated the 2 in the front. Now she's renovating the. Now understand that the cost of renovation is probably $500,000. So it's not like it's not like she stole the property. She still had to do a lot of work on it.
Yeah.
But you've been having trouble with contractors and trouble with this and that. So why don't you just quickly the latest trouble you had? Bring it up. Maybe Chris can help you.
The latest trouble. I don't even know which is the latest one. So it seems like there's always something going on with it. All right. So if I go back maybe 3 months. So I bought the 2 unit in the front was fully rented out, but now I have to get a new tenant. I'm going to try to get a new tenant tomorrow. So the front is all fixed up and done, the duplex up front, and I have the quad in the back that really is just a shell. So I had a contractor come out, and I specifically asked if he was licensed in the city that the property's in, and he told me yes twice. And then I come to find out that he was not licensed, so they shut me down completely. And then when I originally asked if they needed architectural drawings, they said no, but now they needed architectural drawings. So that took me another 3 weeks for them to get the architectural drawings, another 3 weeks for them to approve the drawings. Now I have that, and now on the search again for another contractor. So it's just been a lot of drama that kind of goes along with it. But once this unit, as this thing sits empty, it's worth $500,000. Okay, so it's between the duplex up front and the quad in the back, it's $500,000. And then I, at a tax deed auction, because I do the tax deed auctions, I bought the lot next door because when I was having issues with the city, they told me that I wouldn't have enough parking. And then it was just serendipitous that somebody was looking at the property next door thinking that the property that was mine was up for grabs. And I found out that the auction was coming up because I was taking a break from auctions for a little bit. So I purposely went to the auction and I bought the lot next door. So now I have the lot on the one side that has a duplex and the quad. I have the empty lot next door, which I'm going to end up building. I've been completely approved to build a 4-unit on it. So it'll be 10 units. It'll be 10 doors right there, which will be really nice. But, I struggle with the whole contractor thing. So I think I may have found somebody, and he gave me some pricing that's, it's okay. It's not great, but, he has a lot of great reviews. He promises a lot of, who knows, whatever. So I'm waiting for that contract to come in. But I don't know, give me some. It's a lot of frustration. Larry keeps offering to buy it from me, subject to. And I think he does it just to annoy me because I want to smack him every time he does that because he's doing it to see, one, if I'm going to do it so he can steal the property out from underneath me, or 2, to see if I have any resolve to keep going through this because I can't give it up. I just can't give it up. I've gone through too much with this property to give it up.
She's over the hump.
Yeah, she's definitely over the hump. I've been there, and I feel your pain. I mean, I've done 270 plus flips and lots of rentals on apartment buildings and big ones like this where we've been shut down multiple times. I think the biggest thing is always either building department or contractors. Contractors right now are a real pain in the butt. No disrespect. I think the trades are amazing. I just think they're so busy that they literally just don't care right now.
And that's
so
it. They don't care.
One of the things I started doing in my team when I had my project manager working is every contractor we'd hire, first we'd check references, not just ask for references, not just look at reviews, call references and say, what problems did you have? If they say they're licensed, double check with the township, just call and just say, or just, you can, sometimes that's just an email to an inspector and they'll say, yes, licensed, or ask the contractor for a copy of the license. And the one thing I think you need to do this time around is you need to get an independent subcontractor agreement signed. And in that contract, it's going to state that they're required to have insurance, proper insurance. They're required to have the proper licenses to do the work that they're going to do, and it needs to have carve-outs that if they're going to do anything in the trades like plumbing or electrical, they need to also bring in a licensed electrician or licensed plumber that also then needs to sign a subcontractor agreement.
Okay.
Everybody that's going to touch that property needs to sign one of these agreements.
Okay.
And that'll at least keep you out of this hot water. And if an inspector ever comes, you can say, here's the contract. Not that they're going to, the burden always falls on you.
Yeah.
But I think that would be a good start, and it'll keep your contractors on their toes.
Okay. I know one thing that somebody recommended to me was to put in really specific. You have 2 weeks on this date. Everything has to be done for you to get paid X amount, and it's very times. Like until this is done, you're not getting paid anything, or you're only getting paid X amount. Like I've learned to not really give much up front.
Benchmarks.
You know, yeah.
Benchmarks,
So time, yeah. And then the other thing too that somebody had recommended to me is that if they miss that deadline, that they lose $150 a day.
If you can get the contractor to sign that, great. But
So
good luck.
The one that told me who was licensed, who wasn't, he gave me all those timelines. He gave me exact dates, and if they weren't done, he agreed. He did sign the paperwork for that. So it was.
But he wasn't licensed.
But he wasn't licensed, and he told me he was, and he wasn't. So
Well,
you
could sue him.
So interestingly enough,
But they probably don't have any money to.
we were talking about this. He is giving me I agreed to take a little bit of a loss, but
Well,
he is paying.
first of all, tell him how much you put down. Or you put down money. You can't tell him how much. It's up to you.
Well, so
Just gave him an advance.
I gave him an advance, and I agreed to take a little bit of a loss. I don't know, like a 40% loss, I think it was. But he's paying me twice a month. He's giving me $2,000 a month.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and he sent me the first payment. The next payment's coming in on Friday. 'Cause I told him if he's not, I'm suing him for fraud. And
Wow,
he's
that's-
like, yeah. So he's actually been surprisingly. I'm surprised he's actually paying me, but he's actually paying me.
I have 3 outstanding lawsuits that have been going now for over 5 years, and I'll probably never get $1. But I have liens on their homes. So, Larry,
yeah.
someday I might be
There you
gray and old, but I'll have properties for you.
Will you still be snowboarding
Yes, and skateboarding.
and skateboarding? Well, I'll still be on my butt going down the hill.
Yep,
Actually, you got to teach me how to snowboard.
I can.
You know, I'm a skier. You know, I tried
Nothing
to make
wrong
the
with that.
transition 2 or 3 times, and yeah.
So I do snow tubing because that's about all I can do.
Nothing
I'm
wrong
just
with
not
that.
coordinated.
Look at it. We're all getting out in the snow, so that's all that matters.
Yeah,
Getting
exactly.
exercise. I mean, it doesn't matter snowboard, skis, or snow
There you
tubing.
go, snow tubing. So you don't have to do much and just kind of go in the right down.
I think you're fortunate that contractor is giving you checks.
Yeah, I
I just
agree.
hope they continue.
I think
I
I'm-
can't believe that.
Yeah,
I'm
but don't
surprised.
tell him that because you might be listening.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's not from this area, so
know.
you know.
But you certainly could sue.
That
him.
was the biggest mistake she made in that property, by the way. That property is 2.5 hours away.
It's 2 hours
That's
away.
2 hours away. That's the hard part.
Holy smokes.
That's the hard
Yeah,
part. That's
I
what
know.
made it difficult. And as a matter of fact, when she first bought it, you should just flip it, take your money, and run. But she has a long-term plan, and her long-term plan is that's a big money maker for her. I mean, she's got 6 now. She could put 4 more on there. Having 10 units, building them all is still going to be profitable in the end.
Once you get these stabilized, I think wait on the building.
No, of course.
When the market does shift, contractors are going to need work because
Right.
as we all know, a lot of contractors they don't save. So it's they got to work to pay for their bills.
Right.
So we'll be able to get discounts on some of the trades here probably. I don't know when, next year, 2 years or something, but you could build that. And that's what my plan is. I have lots next to apartment complexes
Okay.
that are vacant and I'm planning on building, but there's no way I'm building right now.
Yeah, so
No way.
that was the thing is a couple people are like, are you going to start building on the quad that's going to go next door? And I'm like, until the other quad is rehabbed, I just can't
Yeah,
handle.
no way.
And I just can't handle something else on my plate. It's just going to be too much. But I do have a builder that somebody recommended, and he already gave me some pricing. I already talked to a bank, and they were willing to help me finance. So it's in the works, but it's just on hold right now because I just need to get this rehab done. But
One thing at a time.
yeah, one thing at a time. But
Very cool.
once I could get it done and pay out my private lenders, I'll make a killing on just those 6 units.
Sounds like a good one.
So
Did you guys just hear the key to what she said? No bank in the world was going to finance this because it was too
Yeah.
complicated. They don't understand it.
Yeah.
They don't even understand the fact that they would do really well with this property, but they don't understand it because she bought the property for $25,000, and now she needs to improve the property, and the bank's not going to lend her $500,000 to rebuild this property. Why? Because if she defaults, they got nothing. So private lenders stepped up, and you paid a slightly higher rate. It wasn't even that much anymore.
Yeah.
You paid a slightly higher rent to people, just people with IRAs, people with money in the bank that weren't making any money on it, and now you've got these private loans, and you are able to renovate this property. So now those people are all caught up. If you've defaulted on the property,
No,
it's worth. I know you won't, but if you
I would
did,
never. No,
I know.
I would never.
So that's another thing, right? There's integrity too. But the fact is, bad things can happen, and if bad thing happened, you wouldn't have a problem with it because the property's probably worth what the loans are or more, and that's why investing in private money. People having private money investing is fantastic.
Yeah.
I get calls all the time. Hey, I got 200,000. I got $500,000. I got $1 million. Do you have anything I can invest it in? And I have to find a property for them. All right. So we talked about it. Chris, thanks so much. Real quick, Chris, give you your website again.
Yeah, chrisnoggle.com or beyourownbank.com.
All right, cool. And thank you, Deb, and thank you, Glenn. I appreciate you always every week. You're an awesome producer. Say hello to Gary Arnell. Gary Arnell is next on this radio show. He is my favorite person over at PHT. You know why? Because he likes me too. That's why. So if you guys want to take the free class, go to investorschooling.com. That's investorschooling.com. You can get a free class this Thursday. And I'm telling you right now, you're going to learn so much. See you then.